A very good afternoon. You're watching Lunchtime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Yuki Poshia. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Several websites hosted on the Lanka government cloud face technical issue. Foreign Minister to address the United Nations Human Rights Council today. Will the quarantine curfew go beyond the 21st of September? Are the youth ignoring the COVID-19 vaccine?
Starting off with your top story for this afternoon, several government websites hosted on the Lanka government cloud experienced a technical issue yesterday. This was confirmed by the Information and Communication Technology Agency or ICTA.
The issue had taken place at a memory point of the Lanka government cloud environment, and the ICTA conducted maintenance operations to restore the system. The ICTA maintenance team has worked on it last night. As of now, everything has come back to normal. The expansion of the LGC needs to take place in an expeditious manner as the digitization process in the country is taking place at a rapid pace due to COVID-19. The infrastructure for this needs to be created soon. That is what we are doing now. This happened last night. Our teams have taken the required steps and it has been recovered.
We received reports last night of a breakdown in some government website. Is there a special reason for this? Had they recovered these websites now? There were such reports of a breakdown from the share market yesterday. As far as we know, the breakdown only affected 2 websites and currently there's nothing serious about it. Our Director General will brief you more on the matter in the near future.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Professor G.L. Pires is scheduled to address the 48th regular session of the United Nations Human Rights Council via video technology today.
Yesterday, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, presented her oral update on Sri Lanka. She said Sri Lanka's new state of emergency of ensuring food security and price controls may further expand the role of the military in civilian functions. The Sri Lankan Foreign Minister is scheduled to brief the world community on the steps taken by Sri Lanka to promote human rights during his address to the session today. The session, which is commenced in Geneva, Switzerland yesterday, will continue until the 8th of next month.
Now, what will be the response of the Sri Lankan government for the allegations levelled at the United Nations Human Rights Council yesterday? Views were expressed in this regard during the cabinet media briefing today.
Michelle Bachelet was critical of certain matters including emergency regulations during her oral update yesterday. Was this discussed yesterday? Have you made arrangements to respond to these allegations?
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අද විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යතුමා එම සමුළු අමතා විශේෂ ප්‍රකාශයක් සිදු කරනු ඇති. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මතුවන තත්ත්වයන් පිළිබඳව එතුමා විස්තරාත්මක ප්‍රකාශයක් අද සිදු කරයි. අදිසි නීතියේ වගන්ති දෙකක්.
The military has not been involved with regard to the distribution of food after making amendments to 2 clauses of emergency regulations. We do not deny their observations. We accept them and there is no issue. But in a more practical sense, we will use them as indicators in solving and making decisions pertaining to issues within the country. We can all bear testament to the fact that matters of this nature do not take place in the country at present. Minister, usually when a state leader travels overseas, it is the LTTE supporters who stage protests carrying black flags. But when the Prime Minister visited Italy, Sri Lankan nationals were seen protesting. Why is that happening? As citizens of this country, we have different opinions among us. But as citizens, we must safeguard our identity and respect outside the country at all times. There is no issue in protesting and expressing objection about anything within the country. But I suggest that we ensure the dignity of the country is protected and our reputation is not tarnished despite the nature of the government in power power.
රටේ ඒ විශේෂ වූ අනන්‍යතාවය පළුදු නොකර මේ තත්ත්වයන් අපි මැඩපවත්ත ගමුයි කියලා කියන එක මමත් රටට යෝජනා කරනවා.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said it is imperative that the central bank, which is responsible for making policy decisions on fiscal reserves, be kept separate from political influence.
Issuing a release, the opposition leader said the country is currently faced with complications pertaining to settling debts, an economic crisis and an acute foreign reserve shortage. Appointment of Ajit Niwad Cabral, who was the former State Minister of Finance and a parliamentarian representing the SLPP in the current economic crisis and the severe foreign exchange deficit that our country is facing in the face of debt repayment problems, has further created economic confusion and distrust in our country among the international financial community. The opposition leader stressed the government must ensure it does not follow a path similar to that of countries such as Argentina, Hungary and Zimbabwe, which made detrimental decisions on its central banks. The opposition leader also points out that multiple misdemeanors, including the hedging deal, Greek bond matter which cost the nation vital US dollars, and the conflict of interest as revealed through the forensic reports on bonds in 2019, were reported during Cabral's previous stint as the governor of the central bank. The opposition recommended for a figure with an unblemished track record who is able to win over the confidence of the international community be appointed the governor of the central bank in order to save Sri Lanka's beleaguered economy.
උදේ මුදල් රාජ්‍ය ඇමති හවස මහ බැංකුවේ අධිපති බවට පත් වෙනවා.
State minister by the day and by the evening he is the governor of the central bank. There will be clashes between the closed associates. Issues will emerge between associates when the person who is the state minister of capital markets become the governor of the central bank in one day. The 11th clause of the finance bill clearly states that an MP, a provincial councillor and a member of the Pradeshya Sabha is not suitable to be the governor of the central bank. It further states that a government employee who is paid a salary through public taxes, an official of the judicial system, an employee or an officer or a director of a bank will not be suitable to be the governor of the central bank. However, it is argued in front of the law. When a state minister is appointed the central bank governor, the decisions he made in the ministry could impact the independent central bank in certain ways. From 2006 to 2015, when Ajit Niwad Cabral functioned as the central bank governor, losses more than 20,000 million were incurred by the central bank. Losses worth 20 billion was incurred. Is this what the government of Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Mahinda Rajapaksa promised to the people?
පාඩු සිද්ධ කරලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට මේකද අපි අහනවා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ආණ්ඩුව ජනතාවට වෙච්ච පොරොන්දුව.
Now, will the lockdown be lifted on the 21st of this month? Concerns were raised in this regard at the cabinet media briefing held today.
As a consumer, I too feel that there are certain inconveniences. Everyone should understand that when we impose a partial lockdown, business activities will definitely get hampered. But we believe that these matters will be back to normal after the 21st of this month.
Minister Bandula Gunawardena has proposed to impose a 5% tax on those who earn more than 100,000 rupees as the monthly income. Will it come into effect from this month?
I think it was a personal opinion of my good old friend Bandula. We did not discuss a word about this during the cabinet meeting.
Steps were taken to import garlic and to distribute it through Laksatosa at a concessionary rate. However, those stocks are being taken by other racketeers. What steps will you take in this regard?
සති දෙක පුරාවටම ඔබ දැක්කා ඔබ වාර්තා කරා රජය එවැනි
During the past 2 weeks, you all saw the kind of actions we take as a government against such racketeers. So do not have any doubt about it. We will continue the same approach to these racketeers as well.
මන්දින ක්‍රියාත්මක වේවි කිසිම සැකයක් තියාගන්න එපා.
Deputy Director General of Health Services Dr. Hemantha Herath expressed views regarding the inoculation of the youth.
අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වන ප්‍රතිශතයක් මේ එන්නත් ලබා ගැනීමට පැමිණෙන්නේ නැති බව
We can see that immunization is not at a level we expected. We do not know whether people are waiting to get the vaccine they want. If you are not traveling overseas and if you want to protect your family and loved ones, obtain the vaccine. There are rumors of various side effects, including impotence, but none of it is scientifically proven.
බැරිකමක් නැහැ. නමුත් ප්‍රායෝගිකව ඒක තියෙනවාය කියලා ඔප්පු කරන්නත් බෑ. ඒ වගේම නැහැයි කියලා ඔප්පු කරන්නත් බෑ.
Has the threat of COVID-19 reduced? It is important that we do not allow another wave to form when this current wave is reducing. We are not out of the danger zone yet. There are about 2,000 daily cases reported. That would mean that there are about 6,000 cases in the society. There are about 150 deaths being reported on a daily basis. We know that the main variant prevalent in the country is the Delta variant. It has gone beyond Colombo and has spread across the country. It spreads really fast. We cannot claim that the country is out of the danger zone. The country is still in the high-risk zone. There is still a risk of the hospital system in the country being overwhelmed. And that is why it is important for the people and the government to take every step possible to stop another wave from taking place. Hospitals serve as a bedrock for medical treatment during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, reports have been received of a fully functional hospital in Bulat, Sinhala being completely unutilized. According to the area residents, Bulat Sinhala Halwatra Estate Hospital has been closed for 20 years. The building, which is still in good condition, houses an official doctor's quarters. At a time when the hospital capacity is a luxury, area residents question as to why this hospital is not being used to treat patients.
This building is still strong. It can be used as a COVID hospital or a quarantine treatment center. It can be used to serve the public. Taking a look at some news overseas, the United Nations drummed up more than $1.2 billion in emergency pledges yesterday for helping 11 million Afghans facing an escalating humanitarian crisis in their homeland. The funds will also support millions more elsewhere in the region as the UN Human Rights Chief voiced concerns about the Taliban's fast steps in establishing power in the beleaguered and impoverished country. At the first high-level conference on Afghanistan since the Taliban took power a month ago, Western governments, big traditional donors and others announced pledges that went beyond $606 million that the United Nations was seeking to cover costs through the end of the year. UN humanitarian Chief Martin Griffiths announced at the close of the ministerial meeting that more than $1.2 billion in humanitarian and development aid had been pledged. He also said this included the $606 million sought in a flash appeal, but also a regional response to the Afghan crisis that UN Refugee Chief Filippo Grandi spoke about after arriving in Kabul on a previously unannounced visit. He wrote on Twitter that he would assess humanitarian needs and the situation of 3.5 million displaced Afghans, including over 500,000 displaced this year alone. A group of heavily armed men has raided a jail in south-central Nigeria and have freed 240 inmates. Foreign media reported that the attackers started a gun battle with guards late on Sunday at the medium security prison at Kaba in Kogi State, southwest of the federal capital Abuja. The gunmen have destroyed 3 sides of the prison's perimeter fence with explosives and then overcame a team of 35 security officers. Officials said 2 officers were killed during the attack and only 54 of the inmates were unable to escape. A total of 294 inmates were in custody at the time of the attack. And with that, it's a wrap of lunchtime news here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Yuki Poshiat. Take care and good day.